Welcome, guys, to your dose of crimson reality. This is Red Pilled Robo. I got a long one for you guys today. And no, not like that. Today we got Cuck Walsh here reacting to an incident on a college campus where a young man did not step in and defend a woman against an armed robber. I think I know what his response will be. But let's hear the soy lumberjack out and see what he has to say. And just so you guys know, I think Walsh has plenty of good takes. I don't absolutely hate the guy. I just think he's extremely flaccid and milquetoast. To me, Matt Walsh is just a neocon at a Halloween party in a $20 lumberjack costume he got at Party City. My point is, he's very lukewarm at best and a total fake at worst. All right, enough jabber, let's hear him out.
All right, here's a report about a female college student who was nearly robbed on camera, on security camera on campus, was nearly robbed, but managed to fight back. And I want you to watch this video and pay special attention to what's happening, or what's not happening, I suppose, in the foreground of this video. Here it is.
It was just before 3 in the 5600 block of South University. Maddie says a confrontation happened and the suspect demanded her phone before flashing the gun. The pair got into a tussle.
I was grabbing for maybe my phone, maybe the gun. It's really like a blackout moment for me.
You'll notice here how she turns around and looks at our bystander here. She looks like she's confused why he's not helping. So already we can see she feels entitled to his protection. That's a good start.
And I realized that I was able to grab the magazine out of the gun.
The loaded magazine now in police custody, Maddie says, and she hopes it will help solve the crime. Just minutes after that ordeal sent people in the area scrambling to safety. Another armed robbery involving 2 suspects with handguns reported in the 1300 block of East 56th Street. That crime under investigation by the Chicago Police Department.
I want to feel safer on this campus. That's the bottom line.
But I think we can always ask for more from our campus and our city.
Maddie says she hopes fellow students and staff are vigilant and keep their guard up. When all said and done, she says her reaction was a knee-jerk one, and she's thankful to be okay.
I couldn't necessarily really register the threat ahead of me, so definitely would.
Here my boy says, nah, bitch. You're strong and independent, remember? I'm out of here.
Losing a life over a phone is definitely not worth it.
So she removed the magazine from the gun, and I will say, which, I mean, obviously all credit goes to her for fighting back successfully. I will say a word of warning to anyone in the future: if you're in this situation and you manage to remove the magazine from your attacker's gun, one thing you should realize is that he might still have a bullet in the chamber, so you're not necessarily home free. So just something to keep in mind. But the thing that many people have zeroed in on, the detail that stands out the most in that video, is the other guy, the guy who was not involved and remained not involved, and who was sitting in the grass and watching this unfold. So if you're listening on the audio podcast, you didn't, of course, see that, but that's what you see in the video. There's some other guy who's probably, 15 feet away watching this. We don't know who that guy is, but he sat there and he watched while this woman struggled with her attacker, and he did not appear to lift a finger to help. Now, many people have condemned this guy. They've called him a coward, selfish, weak, so on and so forth. They say that he had a duty to intervene, to protect the innocent, to be a man, etc.
Yep, we as men get to hear all day long. Here's your duty to society. Here's what you're supposed to do. Yes, that was when we had a society. That was when you knew your neighbor's first name. That was when the people living here in America were, get this, Americans. That was when we had communities. Now the whole damn country is a fucking economic Fortnite server where everyone's trying to get to Tilted Towers to get the last few good jobs before they get para-dropped by a whole squad of fucking Mexicans.
And listen, if that were me, of course, it's easy to say, not being in the situation, but if that were me, I would step in because I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I watched that happen. Especially if it played out differently and the woman was killed, God forbid, in the struggle. I wouldn't be able to live with myself having witnessed that and not at least.
See, this is the stuff fake people say when they're trying to be seen as compassionate. Of course, Matt Walsh couldn't stand to see a woman get robbed. But I guarantee you, if Walsh came across a young homeless guy struggling on the street, He'd tell him to go get a job and bootstrap his way up. He works for the Daily Wire, which is not known at all for its love of American young men. See who you work for says a lot about you. You can't say, for example, you're against police corruption, meanwhile defend all of the actors and institutions that are profiting from it. You can't fool me with that bullshit.
Attempted to do anything about it. So I think that I would intervene, but can we blame this guy for not doing anything? The answer is that we can't blame him, really. We have lost the right as a society to expect men to step up in those situations.
Wow, a rare W for Matt Walsh. Looks like the red pill and MG Tau has had enough of an effect on popular opinion. Even Walsh has had to change his position. See, guys, this here is proof that we're winning. The red pill has already won. Even our enemies have to bow in submission. Although Cuck Walsh here probably likes to be in that position. Never mind, let's continue.
In fact, I think that I would intervene.
Shit, I take it back.
Again, acknowledging that you can't really say for sure what you would do unless you're in that situation. But I'm not even sure that I could say that that's morally the right thing in the current climate. Especially if you have a family and kids of your own who need you. Because why is that? Well, there are several reasons, but starting with the most obvious, men who intervene are frequently arrested and sent to prison. Daniel Penny is facing years in prison right now for doing exactly what the Twitter mob wants this other guy to have done.
Yes, because the cops are feminists. They're not protectors, they're enforcers of the state. See, I've got enough weapons and the willingness to use them. When I go for a walk at night in my city, I'm not scared of the hoodlums around. I'm what the hoodlums should be afraid of. But the one thing I am terrified of is defending myself and then having to fight off a 5-star Grand Theft Auto murder squad sent to me with love from the state. In America, you get punished for being the good guy. You know why? It's because our rulers are the bad guys. It's that simple.
Look, I mean, it's one thing to ask a man to risk his life and, to protect the innocent. It's one thing to ask that. And I think that in an ideal situation, we should ask men to do that. But it's another thing to tell him that he must risk his life, and if he survives, he'll go to jail. Like the idea that this guy, just because he happened to be there, is now required to either die or go to jail. He's required to put himself in a position where the two top most likely outcomes are death and jail. Like, we just can't, that's an absurd idea. We can't expect that.
Agreed. Let me just say, I would gladly lay down my life for my family, my wife, or my close friends, but not for Abdul Muhammad Ahmed III, who just immigrated here from Krapistan. Nah, I'm good, gang.
Because this other guy has chosen to do something, because you happen to witness it, your life has to be over. You have to do something now where either you will die or probably go to prison. Sorry, that just your luck. Sorry about your luck. Your life's over. I know you had other plans maybe, and maybe you have a family at home. That's why I say I don't know. Again, we don't know this guy's situation, but you got a family at home, let's say. Is it even morally right for you to do something knowing there's a high likelihood that no matter how it turns out, your family will be deprived of you maybe forever? Now you're sort of putting someone else above your family in a way that I'm not sure can even be morally justified. So it's not fair. You can't, as a society, say men should protect the innocent and also say men who protect the innocent are murderers who deserve to rot in prison. You can't do both.
Why not? Is anyone going to stop them? Soy boys like you working for the Daily Wire aren't going to. I know that for a fact. You're going to keep your cushy goy job and creatively touch the local rabbi in your zip code for more shekels.
It has to be one or the other. You cannot have both. If you want heroism from men, if you want men to protect the innocent, you have to encourage that. You have to do something to incentivize it. You can't go out of your way to ruthlessly disincentivize that behavior and then still expect the behavior that you're disincentivizing. Societies in the past where a woman would get attacked and, 5 men would spring into action. And
Oh, man. I bet you'd love to see that, Matt Walsh. Eck. Disgusting.
I think that some of that is overstated, but still, those societies praised and adored men for doing that. They honored them. Like in the past, a guy like Daniel Penny, there would be no thought to putting him in jail. He would get a medal.
Yes, and societies of the past didn't have female managers. They didn't have boss babes. They didn't have women murdering their children to the tune of billions. They didn't let bitches run things in the past. You can't get both, Matt Walsh. You undo feminism or you don't.
Daniel Penny's. You honor these men, you respect them. Men respond to that. Men will die for honor and respect. They will. That's the story of human civilization. Men doing great, heroic things for honor and respect and dying in the process.
Walsh, I think your masters at the Daily Wire want you to say Israel.
Men are willing to die for that. And that's a good kind of society to have. But you cannot remove the honor and respect and still require the honorable, respectable behavior. You can't do that. You just can't. Men will die for honor and respect, but what happens when they don't? But if it's not there, if it's not on, instead of honor and respect, they get condemnation and prison time, then you're not going to get it. C.S. Lewis said that you can't make men without chess and expect virtue and enterprise. Well, in this case, we're putting the men with chess in prison.
Present. Yeah, guys like me.
And then we're expecting virtue and enterprise. We're saying, hey, men, be virtuous and courageous so that we can condemn you and defame you and throw you in jail. Like, not exactly a sales pitch. Again, I think as a society, we can expect men to do things that put their lives at risk. We can expect that.
Insert Israel here.
As a man, I am saying that it's valid for me to be expected in certain circumstances to put my very life at risk. I accept that calling. I do, or I would. But you cannot expect them to risk their lives when the reward for surviving the risk is, rather than honor, dishonor and shame and prison. Because that's the other part too. It's not just that men who do the right thing are put in prison. It's that they are shamed. They're doing the honorable thing. They're doing it for honor and respect, but they're not. But then they're shamed. They're given shame for it. So what are you supposed to do? It's just like, the classic women and children first on the lifeboats on the Titanic. In principle, I agree with that. And I think that that's a good principle to have. That men, certainly children, should go first. I mean, every adult should want children to be rescued. But then women too. Yeah, but once again, you can't do that and then also say that the men who are saying women and children go first are misogynistic, sexist, backwards barbarians.
Again, why not? They've been doing it for years. And all I've seen is men like you shame the men who have stood up and tried to do something about it. Everyone wants their superhero to come save them. But every superhero that steps up is seen as the villain. We have thousands, maybe millions of superheroes in this country. But we don't step up and save anyone because we'll be killed if we do. And worst part is, it's the people we're trying to save who will report us to the overlords. See, thing is, this country's fucking not worth saving. Not yet, at least.
It can't be both. You can't do both. Cannot do both. So the onus goes back to society. It goes back to all of these people, who are shaming these men who don't step up. The onus goes back to you. Well, like, you better be there to praise and honor the men who do the right thing. And if you don't, then you have no right. If you do not praise and honor men who do the right thing, you have no right to expect them to do the right thing.
And they have no right to the spoils. See, in history, these kinds of people get conquered, and rightfully so. If there's any kind of person that deserves to be an underclass, it's not the innocent. It's these scum who wouldn't lift a finger to do the right thing, who betrayed their own for special treatment. One lesson history tells is traitors don't last for very long.
And there are plenty of individuals in our society who do praise and honor men who do the right thing, but as a culture-wide, we don't. And you create these lose-lose situations, although now it's really like it's a lose-lose-lose situation, Because if you're a man, and believe me, this is something that every man thinks about. Every man has thought about this, has thought about these scenarios, given the circumstances we live in, and cases like Daniel Penny. We've all thought about, like, what happens? What happens if I happen to be just walking down the street, minding my own business, and I happen to see some terrible thing happening to somebody else? I got nothing to do with it. What do I do? Because it's not a lose-lose, it's a lose-lose-lose situation. Because if you step in and you're not successful in your intervention, you'll die. If you step in and you're successful, you might well go to prison. And if you don't do anything, you'll be shamed as a coward.
And that is why I choose to walk away. The shame of a society that hates me means nothing. I don't care. I can't care. I walk away. I let it burn. I'm putting it in God's hands. I let him be the judge. Because be assured, judgment is coming. Thank you guys for watching. Stay awake. This has been Red Pilled Robo. I'm shutting down. Until next time.